Well, welcome and good day, everyone. We are so glad, of course, you guys can join us today again for another episode in our Talk It Over. And of course, if you haven't seen them, you can catch them all up on YouTube. They, of course, are there, as well as podcasts. And wherever you get your podcast, they are available. And so you can listen to it whether you're working out or even just, having a relaxed day outside. You just have it playing and listen to what's going on. So, wrapping up the series this week in Pre-Decide. Man, what an excellent series it's been. I can't wait to see what the rest of the year is going to bring for series, because this is a great way
It's been good.
to start the kind of the year off with Pre-Decide. So yeah, but before we dive into that, we want to catch up a little bit, kind of see how things have been going. So let us know in the chat, maybe something new for you guys, something exciting happened this week, or maybe you've got a praise report, something that maybe God has been doing or finished up for you. Something maybe you've been praying about. So let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys and connect, and of course celebrate with you in those wonderful moments. So Dave, this week, how's it been? I guess I haven't been here for a couple weeks, but how have things been going?
It's been going well. Lots of really good things that God is doing. Lots of fun, exciting things going on. Yesterday we were at earning money for Ray of Hope through our coldest night of the year walk.
Yes.
And that was fun.
Yes.
It was cold, but it was fun.
It was.
And I love the idea behind it that they want you to experience a really cold night so you know what it's like for people who are living in the cold. And then you're helping to raise some money to support them through this ministry that we were a part of. Ray of Hope is one of our partners for us as a church. And it was good. I always enjoy that. I enjoy doing it with people. And we're obviously doing it for a good cause at the same time. And we always had some laughs and enjoy that as we go. So it was good. It was a good day yesterday.
Yeah, it was. And Ray of Hope, the work they're doing in downtown Kitchener, not far from us, just being able to supply space for people that need it, meals that people do need, so that they can, not have to go without all the time. And so being able to partner with them with that, being able to do this walk was excellent yesterday. And just be able to get a small glimpse of what it feels like to be in that cold. And again, just, being able to serve there. Again, we've done that before, serving meals. We've done that as well as a church. And so...
and we passed our goal. We had set a
did.
Fundraising goal, and we almost doubled it by the end.
We did. And
people were really generous.
And just seeing, we set what we felt we could get to and maybe just get past, and seeing, the blessings that God opened up there, being able to almost double what we expected to even get to. So that was it was great. It was great. Oh man, week's been good. Weather's been weird, up and down. We're in the positives and 12-degree swings back and forth. It's been, the weather here's been quite crazy. It would be nice to have some consistency, at least in the weather. But otherwise, things have been going well. Continuing in martial arts, which has been good. Emmett's continuing to enjoy it, seeing kind of the benefits of him being there, and just a bit more of his attitude and how he's interacting with that, and just being able to see the differences. So I know for me, it changed me when I was young, and seeing the changes in him start now has been really good. So really enjoying that. It's
good lessons to learn, right?
It is.
Life lessons.
Exactly. And I pre-decide these things each week. I'm going to go and I'm going to do my workout on Fridays. And this Friday was very difficult. I had no energy. I was just completely just done, and get that headache kind of come on right at the end of the day, and it's like I really don't want to go, but no, I've made that decision to follow through and be there and commit to what I'm doing, and really just follow through on that. So
how'd you feel after?
Felt great afterwards, actually. Felt really good, and didn't feel as tired. I guess it was just getting up and getting that movement going and stuff. Having those pre-decisions does certainly make a big difference when you come to those times when it is difficult and hard. So pre-decide. A message title, of course, today is When You Want to Give Up, which, man, I know I find myself there many times when you just want to stop. So,
And we're so good at coming up with reasons why it's okay that we stop.
and justifying them very easily.
We're like professionals at that, aren't we?
We
Like
are.
there's all these reasons why it's fine if I stop. Yeah.
Yep, and just making those excuses, and they come so easy.
Oh man. Yeah.
So Craig, of course, is finishing out this message series, and of course, again, he started it the same way as he does each week. We want to remember that the quality of our choices determines the direction of our lives. That is a big one, because those choices can really lead us towards God or away from God, and it can really send us on a path that really, is not meant for us or what God hasn't chosen for us. So we want to be mindful of our choices.
Yeah.
And again, when faced with ... whatever that might be for you guys, I have pre-decided, and again, whatever that is for you, if you've made some of those pre-decisions, things that you are faced with and you've already had those pre-decides, let us know in the chat. Because again, we would love to celebrate what you guys have pre-decided and continuing to make better choices in your life as you go forward. And of course, we want to recap our wheel of pre-decision.
Yeah.
So we want to remember that I am ready, consistent, devoted, generous, faithful, a finisher. Yeah. And of course, that is today's message, being a finisher.
And I love that because it's the reminder that it's about who we are.
Yes.
You have to begin not with the activities you want to do, but about what kind of person you want to be. And so by making I am statements, it's like, this is the kind of person I want to be. I want to be a finisher is what he's talking about.
Yeah, I like that, how he has that with the I ams, because it really reinforces that in you about I am this. Yeah. I pre-decided to be ready. Yeah. I am that consistent person. And maybe one of those areas is one that maybe you need to focus on more. Yeah. Maybe God's speaking to you in those areas about being consistent, devoted, generous, faithful. And then maybe even today, maybe it's being a finisher. Yeah. Finishing off on some of those things maybe you've started. So I liked how Craig opened up the message today with about why are successful people successful? Mm-hmm. I thought that was kind of interesting, because a lot of times we look at people and be like, wow, they're just successful, and they just happened upon that. They got that. And
comes to them easy.
Yeah, and I think we get this misconception that that's just how it works. And I like how he put it. It's about that perseverance, that grit, and that determination that you need. But that's really found inside you. You can't get that from outside. Yeah. You can't get grit from somebody saying you have grit. Like, it doesn't.
Well, he referenced the book by Angela Duckworth,
yes,
who I think has also done a TED Talk, and it is excellent, where she kind of digs into all these things we think are why people are successful and comes to that conclusion of, no, this is about people persevere, they push through, they finish. Yep. And that's really what the deciding factor is.
It is. Yeah, it really is getting that internal motivation about what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I like kind of his kind of caption statement, I think, for this message was, when I commit, I don't quit, I'm a finisher. Yeah. And again, I think that really reinforces that grit, that perseverance that he was talking about. And kind of ties in with that again is, if you're not dead, you're not done. God has more for you. Yeah. And again, as we jump into the scripture, it really dives into that God is continually working in you. Yeah. There's always more for you. He has more for you because you're still here. Your mission hasn't finished. You're not done yet. There's more yet. This message I really enjoyed, because I'm a firm believer that winners don't quit and quitters never win. That's a big one for me that I just stand by, that you really need to push through those difficult moments. Yeah. And he had actually a specific statement for this message specifically. It's, I consider my blank worth nothing to me. So bringing, what do you consider? Like, is there something that's very specific to you that it's worth nothing?
Well, and this is kind of referring, I think, to the Apostle Paul.
Yes. Talking
about all this stuff that other people would say this is what life is all about. He's saying, look, it's not that important. Mm-hmm. I want to do what God has called me to do, what he's planned for me to do. Mm-hmm. And he has good plans for me. That's what I want to make my priority, not all this other stuff that gets in the way.
Yeah. And I think that, leads to a lot of like self self-promotion that, I've done this, I've made this is important to me. The world says this is important to me.
Yeah.
And really, could be considered. I consider my money worth nothing to me because God's given it to me to be a steward of. And we talked about, of course, this last week about, stewarding things. What does God have? What are the being faithful in areas? I really like the story that Craig brought up about the Olympic runner.
Oh,
Who was favored to win the 400 meter, which I would consider, a stamina kind of a run, but it really is a sprint at 400 meters.
Which
I couldn't sprint 400 meters. That's to me that's a distance. But again, favored to win. Halfway through the race, blows out a hamstring, falls to the ground, physically can't finish his race. He can't move.
Yeah.
And then his dad, watching this, jumps down out of the stands, gets onto the track, and carries him the remaining part of the race so he could get to that finish line. And I like the analogy that was built into that we're not running this alone. Like, we have a Father up in heaven that's here to help and support us in those times of difficulty, things that we need support with, that we can't finish ourselves. I just love that. I love how that really ties together really, really well.
Well, and for me, it connects to my word for this year, and the whole idea of being content. And Paul, the Apostle Paul, again saying, I will be content in all circumstances. So whether I'm winning the race or losing, whatever it is, I'm going to be content. And I can only do that through Christ who strengthens me. Only because I have a Heavenly Father who carries me along and helps me to actually be content. Not that I don't push and strive for better, but I'm going to be content whether I have lots or a little bit, because God is there to carry me along and to see me through. Yeah.
Very powerful. So we're going to dive into the scripture here that to me really was kind of that focusing point for today's message. It is found in 2 Timothy 4, 5-7. So don't be afraid for suffering for the Lord. Work at telling others the good news and fully carry out the ministry God has given you. As for me, my life has already been poured out as an offering to God. The time of my death is near. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I have remained faithful. And man, to me, that's just a very, very powerful scripture that really builds into that, talking about, I'm finished. I've done what God's got me to do. I know the end is near for me, but you here, who are still here, keep on going. Keep bringing that news, because that's the mission God has for you. Wow.
Well, and when that Paul, when he's writing that, is in prison, and he's about to lose his life. Any day now, that's it. He's done. He's going to be executed. And ultimately, he is executed. That's actually what happens. And he's writing that kind of like, I'm good. I finished well, and I want you to do the same.
And again, being stuck in a dungeon and just chained, and again, continuing to have that perspective of, I've done what God's called me to do. I know I've finished my part, and
right to the end,
right to the very end. And
he's writing I'm writing part of the scriptures sitting in that dungeon cell. Right, that people are going to be reading and knowing about for thousands of years after. He went that far to it, right up to his death.
Right up to the death, continuing to write, to finish his part. I just...
That's the kind of grit I want to have.
Yeah, that is some serious grit.
Yeah.
So, kind of thinking again, we talked about at the beginning about successful people. What are some qualities of successful people? What do you think those might be?
I think they tend to be very focused, because you can't be scattered and do really well at things. For sure, they have to persevere. They got to see things through, because you got to get stuff done. You can't keep starting things and dropping it and starting it and dropping it and feel like you're going to be successful. And so I think successful people see it through to the end. And then I think they work together with other people. I don't think successful people are like lone rangers and they do it by themselves.
Yeah, I would very agree with that. That those qualities, it's that they tend to be very determined on what they're doing. So determination with focus. Again, not very scattered or not trying to accomplish a lot of things all at once. Very focused on what they're doing. because again, successful people, it's not just handed to them. They aren't just like, here, you're successful. They have to work at it. They have to put in the time. Yeah. Because again, you don't get there without putting in that time and that grit that you need to really pull the best out of what you're doing. Yeah. So let us know, guys, in the chat. Maybe, what do those qualities look like for you as a successful person? What would those qualities be for them? So, which part of the message for you, Dave, was most impactful? Something that really struck a chord?
There was a bunch that hit me. The one that really stood out the most, though, was he gave this quote where he talked about, like, stress doesn't come from having too much to do, but actually from leaving things unfinished. And I talk to so many people as a pastor that are so stressed about life and talk about busy. And Craig, he was kind of joking about that, right? I'm tired.
Yeah.
Everybody, how you doing? I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm busy. I've got too much on the go. And the reason that their stress level is high about that is because they're not seeing things through till they're done.
Yes.
And that's what we need to do. We think it's about the amount of stuff that we have to do, and really it's not. It's that sense of unfinished stuff hanging over us all the time that begins to weigh us down. And I thought that was really powerful. If we would just see it through, it's not about the amount. It's about whether or not we're actually finishing it.
Yeah, man. Oh, man, that's good. That's really good. I like that.
Yeah.
I think for me, it ties with that. If you're not dead, you got more to do. Like
God's not done.
You're not done. God's got more for you.
Yeah.
I think again that just ties into, of course, just kind of even a life word for me about perseverance, about pushing through, and knowing that there's still more for me to do. I haven't finished. I'm not at the end of my race. There's still things I need to do, and I need to continue to push through because God has lots more for me to do for Him and to continue to accomplish. And again, that life word of perseverance for me, and again, this year's specific word about trust, and just trusting that what God has for me is much larger than me, and knowing that He's there to, again, help bring me along, support me through those difficulties, those things that He has for me, and that will be difficult. And even when Craig talked about, you're not going to run into some difficulties as a Christian, it's almost guaranteed you're going to have
troubles.
You're going to have troubles, right? And so just kind of that thought about, I already know I'm going to have difficulties, I'm going to have troubles, but having a Father that can come down and lift me back up and continue to help carry me through those difficult things, certainly, man, that sets my heart, mind at ease, knowing that. It certainly reduces the worry, the stress, and all of that, I think, makes a big difference.
You can persevere because it's not all up to you.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, perseverance with support is very different than trying perseverance by yourself.
I'm just on my own. Well, it talks about, I know this is an analogy that's used a lot, but they talk about the guys in the Navy, they're special forces guys.
SEALs.
The SEALs.
Yes.
And part of their test is they have to go through this grueling process, and it ends with them in the water overnight. So in the freezing cold water through the night, people are yelling at them to quit. And that the guys that make it through are the ones that have a sense of, I'm here for a reason, I'm here with other people, it's not about me. Because as soon as you make it just about you, and I'm going to do this on my own, those are the guys that all quit.
Yep.
And they walk away, even though these are the toughest of the tough that even made it there.
Yep.
And that's what God's saying to us. Like, you're not going to do this on your own.
Yep.
You need other people in your life. Like, you can't do it by yourself.
Exactly. That is certainly the difference point for sure, is having that external support from people around you as well as the support of God. So, what is your typical attitude when you're starting something new as compared to when you need to finish something?
I like starting things. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of pleasure out of that, looking forward to new things. That's maybe not true for everybody, but I really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And so I come with a sense of anticipation of the possibilities, looking forward to what is going to come from whatever I'm starting. The promise is very high, and I'm looking forward to great things out of it. Whereas in finishing, sometimes it's like you're dragging.
Yeah.
I'm still doing this. I'm still trying to get this done. Here I go again. So sometimes when you're getting towards the finish line, it can feel pretty like, oh, I'm done.
Yep. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that last 50 meters to that finish line can be almost the most difficult part of the whole journey.
Dragging yourself down, yeah.
Yeah, my attitude on starting something new. Man, sometimes I find myself very reserved in starting things new.
Okay.
I can maybe have low excitement, I guess, or just don't find maybe the joy in starting new things all the time. So,
Now, why do you think that is?
I don't know. Because I enjoy doing new things. That's the weird thing. It's like I enjoy doing things that are new, but
Yeah.
I don't always enjoy starting things. I don't know if it's, I don't know.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. I really enjoy finishing stuff, coming through, making that last little stretch as you're pushing through that little difference. And then knowing, when I get this finished, it's going to be so good, and focusing on the so good that I can celebrate over like celebrating at the beginning where it's like, yes, I get to start. It's like, yes, I'm at the finish. I don't know. It's a little, I guess it'd be a little bit opposite for me. I prefer a good strong finish over like a really strong start, I guess.
Well, we were talking about this earlier because I use the analogy for me if I like to go for a run and I put in like a 5K. And at the beginning, I'm like, this is going to be great. And at the end, kind of like you, it's like, I can do this.
Yep.
Like the finish line is in sight. I'm gonna push strong. And so I'll even like push a little bit harder because I know it's almost here.
Almost there.
It's that middle section where, I don't know, I'm feeling pretty tired and I've got a long way to go still where that's tough.
Yeah, it is. It is when things are just like, man, how long is this? How long did I go for? What?
Yeah.
Like, and it seems almost repetitive that you're not really making any progress. It almost feels like you're not making progress. And yeah, that middle part is hard. I think that's where a lot of people find themselves quitting on different projects or quitting on certain things because they don't seem to be getting anywhere, even though they are moving forward.
It's just not as obvious.
Yeah, the signs are less obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly when you see that finish line and man, I'm almost there.
Yeah.
That extra, almost you get this extra boost of energy just to finish it off strong, get it done, and then you've completed and you can move on to the next project or whatever might be next.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let us know, guys, what's that look like for you? Are you super excited about starting lots of things but have low energy to finish? Or are you like, yes, let's get things finished, but really slow to kind of build into that new thing?
Yeah.
All right.
I like that. Different perspectives, right? Different people.
Yeah. It's not all the same for each of us.
Yeah.
We all have different things. Some people maybe just get motivated right in the middle and are just pushing through.
I got to meet some of those people.
I would love to meet. I'd love to meet the strong.
I got to
finishing
meet some of
people.
those. Yeah.
It would certainly help in definite areas for me to finish those middle sections a lot better.
Yeah.
So, Craig, of course, talked a little bit about enthusiasm and endurance. So kind of those two things I think, again, can get kind of almost tied too close together, but are quite different.
They are.
So what are the differences, of course, between enthusiasm and endurance, and how could you focus more on endurance this week?
Yeah. So enthusiasm, I think, is more, there's an emotional buy-in to that, right? Enthusiasm has to do like with anticipation, and I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it. Like that's what it really feels like, where endurance is about, doesn't really matter how I feel. It's that pre-decide.
Yes.
I'm going to see this through because I'm committed to it. I'm going to endure right to the end.
Yeah. I certainly find enthusiasm, it's a great way to get motivated to do things. Certainly, you can have like a group of people that are just not bought into whatever it might be. And you get that one person that's just dead. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And just really get people focused and just fired up about whatever the project might be. And that enthusiasm could really get something started, but it's not going to last to the end to get things finished, right? Yeah. And that's where that endurance is the difference. That endurance is really what builds you to push through. Yeah. You need to set a pace of and again, it's that pre-decide. I have preset deadlines I need to meet, and that endurance is what's going to push you through those deadlines. Yeah. And I know for me, endurance is a big one, and you gotta build it. Endurance takes a while. It's not something even with running.
No.
Endurance takes a while to really build up to really make that long run. And again, if it's starting at like a 2K run and then you work up to 2.1, and then you do that for a week and then 2.2, you can't go from 2K to 10K or like a marathon. Like there's a build up, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of us,
Well, that's
need to work
interesting.
on,
So
right?
you have to build your endurance, right? It's a muscle almost that you have to actually build on and get used to.
Yep.
Enthusiasm is a little different, although I like that when you're talking about how that one person can make a difference to bring enthusiasm.
Yep.
And again, there's an effort that's being made there. It's just
There
a
is.
different kind of effort.
Yep. Yeah. It's and again, everybody's a little bit different. Some people are great motivators, great enthusiastic people that can really motivate others to get moving.
Yeah.
And then you've got others that are high on endurance that can really go for the long haul.
Yeah.
But yeah, that idea of you've got to build that muscle, that endurance muscle.
Yeah, that's good.
Because again, it's not something you just have. You don't have endurance. You have to build it up. Because you just don't have it. It's something you've got to work at.
You got to work at it.
And you got to work at endurance.
Yeah.
And so I really like that. That's so good. That is so good. I love that. So let us know, guys. What's that for you guys? What do you feel the difference between enthusiasm and endurance? And maybe even, are you more of that enthusiastic person that really gets people moving at the start, or are you that endurance person when people's motivation is low and you're like, hey, let's keep pushing. We got this. We're almost there. And maybe that's you. Maybe that's you. Maybe that's you. That endurance person that's really carrying it up.
Yeah.
So man, such good talks. I'm so sad that we've got to wrap up this pre-decide.
Yeah.
This could go on for 4 or 5 more weeks.
Yeah.
I think it'd be excellent to have a longer pre-decide, because I think there's more to unpack with this pre-decide. Because man, there's just so much to learn.
Well, and I think there's a good challenge there. So Craig is saying, think about who you want to be and pre-decide that. And he's given you some suggestions.
Yes.
He's like, here's 6 things that I think are really good for who you should be and to pre-decide. And they come out of God's word.
Yes.
But it's not all of them, as you say. There could be more. And so it actually takes some time to be like, okay, who do I want to be this year? Who do I want to be going forward? What's my I am statements that I need to make for me?
Yes.
And then what does it look like for me to pre-decide those things?
Yep.
I am going to be this way, and that means I need to do these things to get there. I think that would be really powerful.
Yeah.
So you don't have to end it. You can keep moving forward with it.
Exactly. Yeah, those pre-decisions certainly make a big difference. And of course, we've talked about our words for this year.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something you guys need to look into.
Yeah.
Is maybe you need a word for this year. And I strongly recommend pray about it, get into God's word and see what God's prompting you for a word. And maybe that's a word that can help carry you through some of these pre-decisions. Because again, that can really help, work towards, building more into you in the direction that God has for you. And I know for me, and probably both of us actually, being in a life group makes a big difference. I know for us, each of us have different words, but it's actually kind of interesting how each of our words builds into each other's words in this year, and what it looks like to be, content, to trust. To me, those are like really tied together, because you need to trust in being content. You need to know that God's got you while you're content. So again, those words are excellent, but see what God's prompting you to.
Well, and you're talking about us learning from each other.
Yes.
And that's the value of having these kinds of discussions, is we get to learn from each other, because we have so much to learn. And even if you're making a comment, like leave a comment under the YouTube video or whatever it is, because we want to hear and learn from you in this process too.
Yes.
And you've got good things to share that we would love to hear in the same way that we get to hear from each other.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. And you can start, again, of your own life group, you, 2 friends, and again, bringing that perspective and looking at each of these messages throughout the series, and really being able to dive even deeper into these questions, of course, that we are talking about, and get more perspective, because it certainly brings more of the message out. I get more out of the message each week in a life group than just sitting and watching it by myself. I certainly find I get way more out of it. So, of course, do that, get going, and again, we love to hear your comments, so please leave them in the chat below, and of course, we will get back to those. And again, man, time flies. Of course, we are coming to the end here of our episode, but we, of course, want to thank you guys for joining us, tuning in, listening to it on your podcast, whatever that might be. We just thank you guys so much for joining us. And we're hoping that you guys are getting as much out of this as we do each week. And just, again, diving more into what God has for you. I want to thank the tech guys behind us here, of course, making all this happen with all the lighting, the cameras, the sound, everything that goes on. And again, all the editing, things that happen to put this all together and to make this happen each and every week. We just want to thank you guys so much. And of course, as we wrap this up, we want to remember, whoever finds God finds life.